About a month ago, I showed you for the first time how much my 22,000 dividend portfolio pays me. And a lot of people seem to like it. So let's do a portfolio update for the month of June. And let me tell you, a few things have changed since my latest portfolio update. One thing is that I opened a position in ARCC, but there's more. And I'm very excited to see what you guys think about this video, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments. My name is Thomas and this is Thomas Invest. I'm an investor looking for great stocks at great prices. Before diving into the portfolio breakdown, I just want to give you all a quick heads up on which stocks I bought recently. Usually I buy at the end of the month after payday, but sometimes when I find myself a great deal, I make the purchase regardless. My most recent buys are ARCC and the S&P 500. For those who know, the S&P 500 is the backbone of my portfolio. I try to buy more almost every month. I also added ARCC, and the main reason is the dividend income. It yields at almost 9%. You can watch my full analysis on my channel, link is in the description. But make sure to finish this video first. I only opened a small position in ARCC and I think I will expand this in the coming months. My goal is to bring it up to 5% of my total portfolio. Right now it is sitting around 2%, so there's plenty of room to buy more. But more on that in a minute. For the upcoming buys there are multiple candidates. I think Starbucks was looking pretty good at low to mid 70s, but it had tanked a lot. Although it was my planning to DCA a little here, I might change my plan. I still think Starbucks is a great deal at current prices, but there is also more opportunity. So I'm not fully sure yet. Other companies that I'm looking into are American Express, T. Rowe Price, Realty Income, United Health and VG. A lot of different companies. And in the upcoming 2 weeks I will make my decision. To me, all these companies are looking undervalued and pay a solid dividend or have a proven dividend growth track record. Which stock are you buying at the moment and why? Let me know in the comments down below. Before we dive into every singular position, I want to quickly show you my sector breakdown. There are many ways to classify different stocks. This is the most convenient to me. In this portfolio, service is the biggest sector with 26%. Please note that these are European number classifications, so that's why we are seeing a comma instead of a dot. Second biggest is the S&P 500 with 21.2%. The S&P 500 represents 20% of my portfolio, and I really try to get this to at least 30% in the coming quarters. And this is a slight change versus my latest video, where REITs were the second biggest. But with my most recent buy of the S&P 500, it is now the second largest position. And REITs find themselves in the third spot with 21%. Finance represent 16.3%, also with the latest edition of ARCC. Health 8.3% and tech is my smallest sector with almost 7.1%. Looking at the individual positions, a few things have changed. The S&P 500 is still by far the biggest with 21.2%. As mentioned a second ago, I'm trying to get this to at least 30%. In my last update, Visa was the biggest and Starbucks was the second biggest. As we see here, they switch positions again. And with Starbucks increasing in stock price, it is the second largest position after the S&P 500. With 9.6%. Visa is sitting at 9.4%. If I'm going to buy more Starbucks shares by the end of the month, then it will lock in that second position even more. United Healthcare represents 8.3%, and from there we see a few stocks around 7%, with Microsoft, Realty Income and Texas Roadhouse. After that we have a few stocks representing 5 to 6% each, with T. Rowe Price, ADC, ABR and EXR. My smallest positions are Main Street, Stack Industrial, VG and ARCC. My total annual dividend income is $749, resulting in a 3.4% dividend yield roughly. This can go up, of course, with dividend increases or supplemental dividends throughout the year. On a monthly average, this results in $62 each month. But of course, not every month is the same. In some months I get paid $100, in others only $20. And in this graph we see that ABR pays by far the highest dividends and represents a big portion of my total dividends. Realty income is second, and from there Starbucks, T. Rowe Price and ADC also contribute a decent amount. Microsoft and Visa, relatively large positions in my portfolio, only contribute a small amount of dividends due to the lower dividend yield. What's also interesting is that ARCC only represents a small portion in my portfolio, but already adds quite a lot of dividend on the total sum. And as said a second ago, ABR adds the most dividends in my portfolio. In total, ABR represents 22% of my total dividend, while only representing 5% of my portfolio in terms of value. This is because I consider ABR as a risky investment. That's why I want to limit my exposure to a maximum of 5%. Realty income, Starbucks, T. Rowe Price and ABR represent 50% of my total dividend. That's something that I want to change in the coming quarters. I think each single holding is a great investment, but I want to diversify a bit more here. Of course, dividends are my main source of income in this particular portfolio, but I think it is very interesting to take a look at the total returns. Both Microsoft and Texas Roadhouse have really carried my portfolio in terms of stock price growth, both exceeding the 50% return. And keep in mind, this is excluding dividends. Visa, the S&P 500 and Main Street also add a decent amount. And interestingly enough, Starbucks is where my biggest loss is, with minus 9%, as it recovers pretty decent in the past couple of weeks. And as mentioned earlier, I'm still a big fan of the company and the stock, so this could be a great opportunity to DCA here, a little. But the thing is, with the stock price increasing again, I'm only doing a small DCA. So I'm not sure yet if I will buy at these prices. And now the final part of my video, where I cover the dividend scorecard of each of my holding to show you what the individual stock are yielding at, and other interesting numbers. Starting with ADC. Dividend yield is at 4.9% and payout ratio is at 75% average for REITs. There are some decent growth stats and ADC pays a monthly dividend, which is very nice. Next up we have ABR, my biggest dividend payer. Dividend yield is at a whopping 12.7%, which is insane of course. Payout ratio is at 91% and not the 106% displayed here. And it has to be said, 91 is still a bit on the high side. They increased the dividends for 10 years in a row, which is also pretty impressive. Next we have EXR, another REIT paying a 4.4% dividend yield. Payout ratio is a little above the 75% average for REITs, but nothing that worries me a lot here. On top of that, they have some impressive growth numbers for a REIT. Main Street is also a monthly dividend paying stock. Dividend yield is at 6%. It used to be around 7%, but the stock tanked a lot lately, hence why the dividend yield is lower now. They also have decent growth stats for such a high yielder. Next stock is Microsoft. Together with Visa, this is my lowest dividend yielder at 0.7%. But with this one, it is all about the growth. Pretty impressive growth stats in my opinion. Realty income is yet another dividend paying stock that pays a monthly dividend. With dividend yield at 5.9%, payout ratio is looking really good and they have an impressive growth track record with almost 26 years of dividend increases. Stack Industrial is my last monthly dividend paying stock. Dividend yield is at 4.2% and payout ratio is relatively low for a REIT. The 5-year growth rate is a little shy, but the 11 consecutive years of increases make up for that. Starbucks is one of my biggest dividend payers. Dividend yield is at 2.8%, which is a great number. Payout ratio is a bit on the high side here, but growth stats are looking really impressive to me. T. Rowe Price is also a big dividend payer in my portfolio that yields at 4.3%. Payout ratio is also a bit on the higher side with this one, but those growth stats are really impressive. Texas Roadhouse is the next on the list. Dividend yield is at 1.45%, which is a decent number. But this one is again all about the growth. During lockdown periods they cut the dividend, hence why they only have 1 year of dividend increases. United Health yields at 1.53%, which is a decent number, similar to Texas Roadhouse. Payout ratio is really low and the growth stats are really impressive. Most recently they also increased the dividends with 11%. VICI Properties is my last and smallest REIT. It yields at 5.8% and has a relatively low payout ratio for a REIT. Growth stats are also not too bad for a REIT. Visa is one of my favorite dividend growth stocks. Right now it yields at 0.75%, but it is the same story as with Microsoft. It is all about the growth with this one. And my latest buy, ARCC, is also the last stock in this list, yielding at almost 9%, which is the second highest dividend yield in my portfolio after ABR. Payout ratio is a bit on the higher side here, but that's very common for these type of companies. The growth stats are also looking pretty good to me. And this was my full portfolio breakdown. I'm planning to do this type of video every month to give you a few insights in my portfolio and choices. Next to this portfolio I have another portfolio fully focusing on the S&P 500 ETF. Overall I think I'm pretty happy with the way my portfolio looks right now. My goal is to increase other positions than ABR, so that I'm not relying too much on their dividend. Currently 22% of my dividends are coming from ABR, while only being 5% of my portfolio value. What are your thoughts on this dividend portfolio? Are there things you would do differently? Let me know in the comments down below. And I'm also really interested in your dividend portfolio. Which is your favorite dividend stock? Or which is your biggest dividend payer? Share it. And remember to always do your own research and never fully trust on what I or other YouTubers say about a stock. I'm not a financial advisor and this content is just for entertaining purposes only. I hope you liked this video and I did bring some insights of these companies to you. I would really appreciate a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to get notified when I'm posting a new video. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video.